Hi, my name is Richardson, and I spent 30 years in the Navy, and this was the airplane that I started with a long time ago. And this was the B model. I flew both the A's, the B's, the C's, the D's, the E's, the H's. Probably a couple I've forgotten, but there were a bunch of them that I flew, and part of that was because I was at the Vaught facility where the airplane was built, and I was one of the Navy crew there that accepted the airplanes for the Navy. And anyway, here to tell you about this airplane. It's the A-7B was the second model of the airplane with some improvements on the A. It was essentially an A with some upgrades and whatnot. The other airplanes had some significant upgrades, but this one was the second one. The guns were loaded here, or intended to here. They're actually loaded up on the top where the drum was that fed the 20mm cannon on the airplane. What you see right here, since we can't get in the cockpit, there was another step that came out down here, and you'd climb in the airplane, and you could look stupid if you got started with the wrong foot, because you'd have to switch feet and so on. Anyway, up in the cockpit, we're not going to be able to get in there, but it was a nice, roomy cockpit, easy to get around. The stuff was out in front of you. They didn't have to get back behind you like this, and like some of the airplanes are, but they had a nice layout. Down here, this was what connected you to the catapult. If you're on the carrier, the guys would bring you up, give you a turn to the right, turn to the left, maneuver in the airplane on the cat track until you got to the aft end of the cat track. You would put this down and then move forward until it came over and dropped down into what was attached to the catapult itself. And that would be down. It automatically came back up after you launched, but the launch was by this bar, and that was as opposed to the older airplanes, which had a big long cable which went into some hooks, like back in this region, like the A4 for instance. It'd be back here, and then that cable would hurl you down the catapult, and the cable might actually leave the carrier. Sometimes they'd get loose and no harm done, but this was a much quicker and easier way to get the airplane. It was an improvement on the whole idea of how you get that airplane on the catapult, off the ship, and gone. Those are lights that the LSO, when you're landing the airplane at night especially, you can't see the airplane real clearly. In the daytime, of course, it's easy, but at night it's harder. And those airplanes showed the LSO what speed he was. The green was good, the yellow was a little slow, and red was fast. So that helped the LSO. He get a pretty good look at it, but in the dark it's harder, and that helped. I was an LSO for a long time. Enjoyed the heck out of it. It's great. Feed static system, standard for all airplanes. This funky thing here is the way we refuel the airplane in the air. The airplane had a very sturdy landing gear. You can see it's short, very compact, I don't remember any landing gear. They blew some tires, but we didn't break any landing gear because it was shorter. There was less lever to it, so the A4 would occasionally break one. It's a long landing gear. Physics, and but that worked very well for us. Light in there was for the at night if you're landing on at an airfield. You don't do that on the airport because the LSO can't see the airplane at that point. So anyway, we carried sometimes the Sidewinder missile on the cheek, what we call the cheek stations, right there. And, I got to shoot a couple of those, and it was quite a trip coming by the cockpit, as you might imagine. It didn't lose much altitude as you pull the trigger, just kind of straight behind us. Whoa, where'd that thing go? That's kind of fun to have something like that you knew that you could shoot at somebody if they shot at you. And all of the airplanes carried the bullets for the gun up here in where this says rescue. There's actually underneath that there is in the E model there was a big drum that fed the bullets in. Anyway, two modes. One was the bullets were stacked in there, fed down to these 20 millimeters to be shot out. That carried, I think, right at or slightly over 1,000 rounds, so you could do some damage with it. It was a good gun. It was a great platform for shooting the gun, the 20 millimeters. These smaller bombs, we could take a lot of these smaller bombs here on these multiple ejector racks, is what they were called, MERs, and it could carry what you see here, six Mark, I forgot the designation. This is probably a 250-pound bomb. 4 soft targets at various assembly places wherever you went, and you could also carry a large bomb, maybe 1,000-pounder, on these stations here. Just hook it directly there. We kind of liked that because you didn't have all this drag, and the airplane was underpowered, and anyway, and putting more drag on it just didn't do as much help. So we'd rather carry the big bombs at one station. During the walk around of the airplane before you went flying, you always want to get down in here. Got a bunch of gauges up there to show you those things, whatever they're showing on this one, they would be up to the number of the correct PSI. The brake cylinders back there, I think that's the brake, just like in a car. You have got a thing for brakes. They feed out to the two main mounts. Doesn't go to the nose gear, obviously, but this obviously this pin comes out on the carrier because of the space. You try to get this as compact as you can. And this is one way with this one we could bring the wings up, and as soon as you landed, you reached over here, you pulled the lever up, which unlocked them, hit a button, hydraulics brought it up, and when you were coming out of the gear, your wings better be coming up. Everybody's going to yell at you if you're not, because they're typically on a normal rotational day where you have 6 or 8 events. You launch 20 airplanes per event, something like that, maybe 25. But the gear the landing was just a thunder striking. Boom! Oof, I think we're here. Hook down there, it's a little short hook. This airplane replaced the A4, and the hook on the A4 is about this long. That down there is about this long. But you can see how much closer to the ground it is as opposed to the A4. And it carried a lot more ordnance and a lot more fuel, and it was an improvement. There were of course those who thought the A4 could never be replaced. And it was a good airplane, no doubt about it, but you get more time on station, more weapons, more better. I've never done it, but I know people who've swapped ends with it, because of the shortness of the airplane. a lot of rudder and cross control in the airplane. It's, I never did it, but I've talked to people who did, and they said it was a wild ride. Mr. Toad's ride, wild ride. They started the airplane with what we call the huffer, blue air. Get in here, started it up, spin the engine. I think, well, I should know these numbers, but I forgot them. About 15%. Come around the horn. You get igniters, fuel's being fed, lights off, starts up, easy peasy. Don't tell anybody else this, but when Coors beer was the big thing, but you couldn't get it west of the Mississippi, we would go to Yuma, fill one of these up with Coors beer and bring it back for the party the next year. But it was a good find, it was a good experience. The system had it was pretty accurate. You might get a little drift if you were on a flight from, say, Yuma back to Jacksonville, where I was most of the time. And it would have you within less than a mile of the airport. It worked well. Now, if you're maneuvering real hard, sometimes that would make its parameters seem to kind of get a little bigger, but still, all in all, it was a great improvement. And I think one of the early airplanes to have it, an INS. I mean, there were probably some commercial airplanes and whatnot, but this is an airplane. It's a war machine, and it gets hard use. I had to figure out how to not throw it off kilter in the hard use portion of the flight. Obviously, you didn't hard use it all the time. But there was a time when you were using it real hard, and then you were getting out of Dodge. So we were there at a time we were not going up north. When I was there on the Ticonderoga, they had stopped doing that. So we were working up and down the trail in Laos and whatnot. That could get exciting from time to time. Not nearly as exciting as poor guys that had to go downtown and whatnot. And I tried to go back, but they wouldn't let me go. Later on, we opened it up again, but the trail was pitch black. I mean, it couldn't have been any blacker than the inside of a football. Just, and the lots of folks down there shooting at you. They could hear you. And some pinhead left his lights on. They'd shoot at him a lot. Happened from time to time. Get your lights off. But that was my basic experience there. One time I had a bomb on those outboard stations, especially on the smaller ships. You couldn't land with so much weight off center. There was a number, whatever it happened to be for that particular ship. And I could not go back to the ship because the bombs would not come off, and I couldn't jettison them, and they wouldn't come off at all. So I went to Da Nang to get the bombs taken off over the Marine side, and they took them off for me. And then you had to kind of wait for the next cycle out on the ship, because you launch, recover sort of thing. And so I sat there my allotted time after they'd gotten the bombs off, so called the tower and said, "This is me ready for takeoff." Turn to yank station. I said, "Roger, cleared to runway." It was a north-south runway 18. Okay, great. So I'm taxiing in. As I'm taxiing out, this flight of Phantoms takes off on me. And my compass. What? They just took off to the north. It was the alert launch. They had, so they took off to the, I was confused there for a couple of minutes. What? So I said, okay, am I going the right way to the test? Yeah, you're okay. That was the alert launch. Okay, great, thank you. First time I'd been there. And then, so I got to my takeoff station, got all the required stuff done that I knew. That was pre-takeoff checklist. Is me ready to go? I said, okay, Roger, clear to take off runway 18, great. So pull out, run it up, look at the gears, everything, look at the gauges, everything's good, okay, full power, rolling, rolling, rolling. About the time I lifted off, the tracers started coming back. Damn, this is not fair. That sort of thing. They didn't get hit, of course, but this is not a good place to be. I kind of thought the ship a lot better. That was an interesting. No sooner than airborne, reaching for the wheels. Hey, wait a minute, this is not right. I had a nice radar. It wasn't a Mondo radar. It didn't spin and go around, but it was a very, very handy item to have in the airplane. It worked well. You could map, rivers, lots of things. And it was a nice fidelity. It really was. And guys used it a lot.
After you got up into the cockpit, the steps that you took,
right.
Could you close those internally, or you had to do it from the
plane
outside?
captain had to do that.
Okay.
That was one of his jobs. He had to do that because we couldn't get into it. I think that this I wouldn't swear to this, but I think the A and B model, it came out and down, and there was like a stirrup on the bottom of it. Whereas in the E model and subsequent variations, it had you pushed a button, the thing just dropped straight down. There was a difference there. It wasn't, not a big deal, but there was a bit of difference. And the other one was a much handier doodad. I mean, it just dropped straight down. Plane captain would jam it up in there. Close this one, close that one if it was tall enough, or not. And get taller guys so he could put his had to be closed before he went flying. And then the airplane, we're all done with the squadron guys who were working with us on the airplane. We're sitting in the airplane ready to go. And then what we call the yellow shirts. Do you speak yellow shirt? Mm-hmm. Okay, the guys that actually taxi you up. He comes and he's got some of them have Mickey Mouse ears and some not, but they're come down. They'll tell him to break down the chains. It takes the chains off. They'll stay on there until I'm ready to go. Okay, I'm ready to go. Okay, take down the chains. They take time sitting down and hold the brakes. He comes over here, and depending on where he is and what you're doing, he'll look at you, see him. There you go. Yep, I'm ready to go. And then he will. Okay. Take the chocks out, brakes off, come forward, give me a left turn, right turn, and he backs out onto the deck of the carrier. And we're all on the deck, but he's moving you out, and he's going to get you in line to get on the catapult. All there's to it. It's pretty easy, but Bob McKee been killed doing that. It's a dangerous place to work. Probably. So then, and then he'll bring you out. Lots of times he'll give, and he'll view you like this, and you look up there, and the big guy makes, I'm here, and he's bringing you the rest of the way. Gets you up, and he gets you. He brings you around here this way, gets you lined up at the catapult, brings you forward. Stop. Put your launch bar down. That's when you hit that button over there. That's where it is too. It's on the left. Comes down. And then he's come up the catapult too. He's at the back end of the catapult, where the shuttle will, from there, it'll hurl you into the air. Essentially, is what it does. So this comes down, and then behind that there's like a hook standing up, and it comes along this. Down there, hooks. It's all connected with the catapult or apparatus. Comes in, and then they'll tell him to take tension, and they'll tighten it up, and now you're ready to go flying. Catapult officer will be over here. So look at him, nod your head, looking around the cockpit, make sure everything's okay. Wipe out the controls one more time. Some guy's watching that, and he's told them that it's all working okay. and you go, just like that. Guy on the deck edge hits the button, steam's released. Yahoo! Here we go. And it's always a Yahoo. It's a Yahoo.
Now, as far as the ejection seat, what were the capabilities on that? Did it have 0-0 capability?
It was a 0-0 seat, yeah.
Okay.
And that's, don't get too carried away with it. If you're in sync rate, it's not the same. It's a different game if you're in sync rate. So, but that usually was not of, could be, it could kill you if you're going down too fast and wait too late to get out. I mean, because now your vector is much less than it was, and the parachute may not have time to open. So, but not too much of that happened.
Did the canopy have charges on it to blow it clear in case you were?
No.
Would it just kind of pop up and then the slipstream would take it off?
Actually, the seat had a, right behind here, had this thing popped up, and it doesn't look like that, but it looks, like if you can imagine these, they would be up here and they would penetrate the canopy and shatter the canopy, and you just go out, and didn't have to take it out, didn't have to get the canopy off before you went. Now, if I had time to do this, I would probably open this thing and let it fly off, and then I would eject to avoid all that glass and crap around. But if you got to get out, then you go, and you go through the canopy basically.
How many traps do you have?
1,553. I think it's number 3 all time.
What are some of your favorite characteristics of the A-7?
Oh, you go a long way. It was a pretty efficient, gas user, fuel user. It with a little wind behind you, you could go from El Centro, California to Jacksonville, Florida. You had to have tailwind. But you couldn't with the wind in your face, or if you didn't have any tailwind, you had to stop about mid-America. But heck, you're going, 300 knots, so you're getting there in a hurry.